Well, at PA, I lead our AI advisory capability across the firm and also lead our AI efforts within our energy and utilities practice. And I essentially do two things. On the one side, I help clients wrestle with the simplest but the most challenging questions. Should I get started with AI today? If so, where should I invest? Which use case to go after? Should I buy a solution? Should I build something? Should I build a capability? And if so, how do I organize myself to go and take that forward and embed it into the organization? And the other side, I bring it to life. And typically that means solutions that don't exist currently on the market. So that's where a client either wants to innovate and pioneer something new, or where the challenge is so complex that it requires something very bespoke. So for example, I had the pleasure of partnering with the NDA, the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority in Sellafield, to create Danny 2, which is the first generative AI assistant, a digital colleague for the UK nuclear decommissioning industry, a brilliant adventure to be on. Another example is where we helped a very large OEM who wanted to build something to track the uptake of sustainable aviation fuels globally in near real time, something that didn't exist before. But with this technology, we have to completely rethink our approach, our playbook, and as well like how you're going to go and deliver this all the way end to end. So at PA, number one, we don't believe in AI strategies. We believe the only important strategy is the business strategy. And therefore, the question you should be asking is there a role for AI to help you deliver against the strategy? And so that's why we believe firmly in something called an AI blueprint, which should be step one for organizations to take. A second thing is that we see with AI, strategy and execution blending. So organizations and our clients don't just want 8 weeks and then get a piece of paper. They want to see something real happening at the same time. So a lot of the work that we're doing now is we're bringing together very different disciplines, very different skill sets, and it means that all of our advisory work is essentially anchored in our practical experience of building these solutions for our clients. And I suppose the third thing is that at the moment there is a risk that the only problems we solve is the ones that we are looking at the symptoms of the issues that have manifested from all the years previous. And I think where this is really exciting is looking ahead. And that's why we have a dedicated team that is constantly looking ahead and saying, hey, how is the technology evolving as the technology hasn't settled? And therefore, what are the things that we need to think about and take into our solutions, our advice, our counsel to help these organizations really capitalize on this emerging technology? And now we're seeing a new term come to life around agentic AI. And most of the questions that we get asked is, what does that mean? And essentially, what is the concept of this agentic factory? And I suppose one of the fundamental differences is that when you started using something like ChatGPT, you would essentially write a prompt and then get an answer, whether it's a text, an image, a video, but you would get a very simple answer to a request. Whereas now we're starting to see the development of systems that essentially own the outcome, where you give them a goal and they essentially work through, okay, how do I establish the approach, respond to the query, and then own the outcome and deliver that. And so now we're seeing the creation of actual systems that could complete specific tasks. So that's great, brings great excitement, but also great disruption and potentially great nervousness. Now the concept of the agentic factory is first and foremost where we see the direction of travel going. Ultimately, we see this notion of the intelligent enterprise where every business function is powered by generative AI or agentic AI. Every human employee is assisted, augmented, and has got an AI assistant. The manifestation of being able to create that for an organization needs an agentic factory. And so we're seeing a lot of organizations across different sectors say, okay, what does that look like? What is the capability that I need? What is the partnership structure I need? What is the data and infrastructure that I need? Because ultimately, the way the data is stored for previous systems isn't going to be relevant necessarily for those systems. What is essentially the ecosystem that I need to create within my organization so that I have use cases coming in one side, agents coming out the other? And then more fundamentally, once you have this in place, how are we going to define the new ways of working? Because it's not obvious to me that we are just going to be working human to human. I think we'll see a world where human and agents are working together and humans are even managing agents as well. So that's an exciting new future to go and embrace.